This is a 102.7 FM Toowoomba original podcast.
Welcome everybody to my podcast, Big Little Small Talk. I'm Megan O'Hara-Sullivan and I love to talk, but I also love to listen. If you're new here, welcome. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you enjoy the episode. And we're here today with Bridget Chant. Welcome, Bridget.
Thank you.
Now, I'm not going to tell the listeners what you do because I want you to tell me what it is that you do. I asked you what you did for a living and you said you're a content creator.
Yeah,
What does that mean?
that could mean literally anything. It could mean the difference between making a video of some kind with any kind of content, I suppose. But yeah, I make videos, I post them online to make people laugh.
Right.
Basis of it.
I make videos and post them online too,
Mhm.
but tell me about your following because you are one of the most famous people I've ever come across.
Oh, really? Oh gosh. Well, it will get better, I promise. But if anything, started on TikTok. I make videos with my parrot specifically, comedy skits. And my following started from TikTok and it grew and grew and grew. And it is now sitting at 4.3 million followers on TikTok. And I have a couple of other platforms that I use that are my other platforms, nowhere near as impressive as that, but still about 130,000 on YouTube and 181 on Instagram. Yeah.
Wow, we've got so much to unpack here.
Telling
And
me.
I don't want to do the old person thing and go, "Oh my God, what's it about?" But what's it about?
Well, it is simply making people laugh with ease. It's not political. It's family friendly. I make up skits based on how my parrot reacts to things that I do / say in situations, and it just so happens that he is very funny and gives me plenty to work with. He only knows a smattering of words and things like that, but I find the comedy based in his facial expressions and what I can caption him saying or what I think he's saying.
Okay,
So,
so
yeah.
you did say to me that so your parrot's name is Hamlet.
His name is Hamlet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you're going to tell me in a minute why he's called Hamlet, but that he has a special gift, and his special gift is in his facial expressions, which I found quite an incredible thing to do because
Yeah.
he's a bird,
He's
right?
a bird with a big red beak in the middle of his face that doesn't move. It just opens and shuts and makes loud noises. Expression is, I think, interpreted. And I think if you give people an interpretation that is at their fingertips with what, you can imagine yourself, I think that gives people more of an avenue to think beyond their own thoughts. As, you look at a picture of a blue ship, one can think, oh, it's just a blue ship. Whereas, if you give it a caption, you go, it's a sad ship. You go, of course it is.
So the thing is the captions, not
Yeah.
actually, but he does say things
He
to
does. He
Hamlet,
does have a
does he?
repertoire.
Yeah.
He does have things that he does physically say, and it just so happens that they're universally, appropriate for all kinds of situations. So his main repertoire is, hello, step up, what doing, good boy. He'll ask if you want a kiss. He'll say kisses, and he'll lean in and he'll give you a big kiss and go, mwah. And that covers so many discussions. It really does.
There's a lot to go from there. So it's not your first bird, is it?
No.
He's not. You
He's
had
not.
another bird called Cinnamon, I
I
think. Is
did.
that right?
I
As a
did. I
child.
did.
So tell me about that.
Oh, Cinnamon, she was the best. I was 10 when I got her. My mum got me her as a early birthday present that I came home to after getting teeth removed at the dentist. And that was unexpected, but she was a very important step in my life. I had ADHD diagnosed as a kid and struggled a lot with school and like holding friends and kind of just being, I don't know, feeling like I'm fitting in, I suppose. And so it was kind of something out of the ordinary that I could focus on and look after without, spiraling myself and thinking about myself all the time. It gave me a project. And she was my project. She was wonderful. I had her for 10 years. I had her until I was about 20. Then, tragedy hits, of course. Everyone has a sad pet tale. But it was only a couple of years after that that I got Hamlet. So
And did you tell the listeners what type of bird Hamlet is?
he is a blue Indian ringneck parrot.
How do you decide what bird I mean, obviously, we're sort of joking about this in a way, but it is obviously a very seminal part of your mental health regime,
Mm.
and yeah. So how did you decide
Oh,
on an Indian blue ring neck parrot?
pregnant parrot. Yeah. It's a mouthful.
Isn't that right?
Yeah, you had it right. Oh, it's strange how things like connect over a lifetime. In, I suppose, my earlier time of having cinnamon, we lived. I'm from the Sunshine Coast originally, and we lived in a house that looked over. Was in Bye Bye, looked over Maroochydore. It was really pretty, and it had a lot of bushland below it. And one afternoon, our dog Dooley was his name, and he was a English Springer Spaniel, so very soft mouthed, came to the door with something in its mouth, and we all went, "Oh my gosh, what is that?" And it was a green Indian ringneck, and it was someone's pet because it was very tame, it was very calm. It just wanted to hang out with us, and it was the first time I think I'd ever seen something that exotic. Because everyone has, a story of knowing a cockatiel or a budgie or something like that growing up. They're very common. Whereas it was the first time I'd seen something so exotic, and I thought it was beautiful, and we named it Apples, and it eventually did actually find its home, thankfully, and it stuck with me that that was the kind of parrot that I thought was really cool. And it wasn't until later that I was looking for my own parrot as an adult that I thought, "Okay, I've had a cockatiel. It's a good beginner bird, but I thought I could handle something a bit different." And they are different to handle. They are bigger. They have a bigger care regime. They do require a lot more attention. And I was just finishing university. And so in my head, I was like, I could do it. I'm in a situation where I did research on other parrots. It just was something in my head that I thought, no, that's what it's meant to be. Yeah, I took it upon myself to go, yeah, that's what I need to have. I originally wanted a yellow one, which was even more interesting. It wasn't until I saw a picture because my dad helped me find a breeder, which I'll touch on in the fact that you should always make sure that you're finding a breeder that is ethical.
What's an ethical breeder?
An ethical breeder is a breeder that is looking after the bird's best interest for their entire life, not just for the sake of making money. Indian ringneck parrots aren't naturally coverly parrots. A lot of parrots aren't, and it's got a lot to do with how they're raised. And so if they're raised in a caring environment with the right foods and also the right amount of, I suppose, handling in an early age, you really guarantee a better pet for later on in life that's easy to look after, that'll have less behavioral issues. And I saw an image of someone sent me a picture of Hamlet and said, "Look, these are the birds that we have." And that was the one, pointed at it, went, that's it. That's the one, that's him. Meant to be.
And what are the sort of particular characteristics of a parrot, say, over a cockatiel that you thought that's what you wanted? Is it because they will talk or
Well, Cinnamon never spoke. She was a girl. And the women, I say women, the girl parrots, the women parrots
the women? Yeah.
tend to keep their voices to themselves. They do. They're less common in terms of talking. Doesn't mean they don't. They just don't do it as much sometimes. And so I already knew that I wanted a male just because of the exploratory version of you know being able to have a parrot that talks. That's exciting. And yeah, so that was part of also the search of the parrot. And yeah, you get him talking and then they don't shut up. And so
Tell me about I want to know more about how having a bird, or do you think it's a bird? Do you think it's any animal? Why was that sort of centering for you? I know you said it's that sense of responsibility with the ADHD.
mm,
How does that work?
I always had a thing for birds. I don't really know why exactly. There's actually a lot of coming to I suppose the internet now and memes where we're just as nuts as cat people, I guess. Uh, but it's just a different kind. It was, I suppose, the something small. It was you could look after it. It was you could protect it. They are also very independently minded. Very independently minded. They decide what they want to do, and they also have the capacity to really hurt you when they don't want to do something. He could bite my finger off if he really wanted to. He's given me a black eye accidentally from just lashing out from being scared, which is understandable, totally my fault. But yeah, they have their own personalities and they're enormous. They are such big personalitied mm, creatures that I think there was part of me that was always drawn to the idea of, wow, imagine having the trust of something that intelligent.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm. Is Hamlet in a cage? Like, how does that all work
Yeah,
out?
he does have a cage. It's a bigger cage that he loves, actually. He'll often put himself away. It's a place of safety for birds that are raised in a cage that has been deemed as safety. Whereas he does have free reign as long as I'm supervising him. You got to be careful. They chew everything. They really do. But he's pretty happy where he wants to go. I've never cut his wings either. I keep him inside. I've never been brave enough to teach him how to fly outside, only because we're also in Australia. We have some scary birds. I think my anxiety wouldn't be able to take that, to be honest.
So when you just with the ADHD, tell me about that because it's more unusual, not so much now, but
Mm.
I guess when you were a 10 or 11-year-old, and particularly for girls, like
Yeah.
being recognized as someone with ADHD, what was that experience like? And is it like for you now?
Well, oh, I sugarcoat it. It was awful. Really was. It was hard, I think, as a girl who, one, didn't know what was happening. Like, it's really hard to not only not understand your own body and your own brain, but also notice that everyone else doesn't understand it as well. And so not only feeling like an outsider yourself, but feeling like, okay, there's nothing I can do about it. I can try to fit in, but there'll always be something that'll set me off from the rest.
Mm.
And it was a struggle. And it was a struggle that certainly gave me, I think, a lot of I'd say personality, if anything. Like I learned to make myself laugh. I learnt that making others laugh on purpose was much easier than being laughed at by accident. And I think that's also how it directed a lot
Mm.
of my learning and even the result now of every day and my job now, to be honest. But it was a struggle. And my parents went through it with me. I had two younger sisters that saw it happen as well. And so, yeah, it was not boring. I'll give you that. Yeah.
So you knew that something you were different to other kids
Yeah.
and you couldn't put your finger on it. You just
Yeah. There was moments that I thought things deeper than I needed to. There were also things that I didn't think hard enough about that I needed to. And
Mhm.
so it was kind of like everyone was let in on a secret that I wasn't let in on. It would either fall under the category of she's like not doing well enough. I got deemed lazy so much when that really wasn't the case. I was busting my butt trying to keep up and things like that. I really struggled with some aspects of school, but particularly when I came into high school, the parts that I flourished at were the artistic sort of elements. I thrived at drama. I thrived at art. And I thrived in English as well because it was imaginative. And that's probably the first part of the acceptance where I started to get recognition of, oh, you're really funny. Oh, you're really cool. And I think that's where I got the confidence to take that a step further and go, okay, this is what I'm good at. This is what I can do. And so therefore it gave me purpose and all the other stuff didn't matter.
mm. So you finally sort of getting to a stage at the end of high school where you realizing this might be a bit of a superpower,
Yeah,
perhaps. Yeah, yeah.
absolutely.
And so you then decide to come to Toowoomba to come and study.
Yeah. Oh gosh, there was a blip in time straight after high school that who knows what they actually want to do out of high school. I found that hilarious. Yep, I know exactly what I want to do. 10 years later, they're like, nope. What was I thinking? Um, no one knows what they want to do outside of school. I had an idea that I always wanted to do something in the creative realm. Who knew what that was? It was probably a year after I graduated that I did apply to USQ specifically because they did a Bachelor of Stage Theatre, Bachelor of Arts in Stage Theatre. That was what it was probably the first thing I went, I should do that. I think my mum will attest to it as well. She went, yeah, no, that was the first time you went, yes, let's do that. Like, I want to do that. And I did. Didn't finish it, but by golly, I stuck it out. There was 3 years of severe development, but I learnt a lot from it. Without it, I wouldn't be where I am today.
Yeah. So you were obviously living away from home
Yeah.
and a whole new set of friends and everything. How was your mental health at that stage?
Oh, it went through waves. Waves for sure, because nothing's scarier than the unknown. Nothing is scarier than the unknown. But
Mm.
I suppose I had an ounce of bravery in the fact that I was like, everything's always been unknown to me. What's new? What's different? Let's just do it. Being from the Sunshine Coast, Toowoomba was 3 hours away. It wasn't a complete step out of my comfort zone. Both of my parents are from Toowoomba. So I had family, I had people that were here, grandparents, so on and so forth. And yeah, it was a new group of friends, a new group of people. It was interesting to see not only a change in scenery, but a change in how people worked. Because when you move not just across town, you move a fair way away. You see a difference in how people tackle problems. You see a difference how people discuss things. And, Toowoomba's an interesting place in many ways. I saw both the creativity, saw the racism for sure, but it was just a bunch of different highs and lows that I took upon myself to go, okay, you have to be open-minded. There's no way you can go in here deciding everything. You have to see how it works. And so, yeah, friends that I still keep in contact with now from uni, not from a lack of, people reaching out. I just had no interest in it. I knew at school that this wasn't forever. That
And you
was the
found
big
a sort
thought.
of a new you in a way by coming over here.
Yeah.
We're on Big Little Small Talk. My name's Megan O'Hara Sullivan, and we are talking to Bridget Chant, who is also known as Chanty B97. I'm guessing you're born in 97, is that correct?
I'm shocked you could guess that.
Who is a creator, a digital creator, content maker, influencer. You're an influencer girl.
Oh, I find it so funny when people call me an influencer because I haven't influenced anyone to do anything.
Well, I want to really talk about this career as an
Yeah.
influencer because it is sort of something that is foreign to a lot of us, and we all know that there are such a thing as influencers.
There are increasingly so.
So what does it mean, with your over 4 million followers on TikTok? Are you able to use this for some A, money, B, something, good rather than evil, I guess?
Yeah, I suppose you get given a lick of power. Some people take a mile and give it an inch, I suppose, but there's always an element of, "Oh, that's not real." What do you
What do
mean?
you mean?
As
Explain that to me.
as in, it
What's happening to you?
it's interesting when someone says when you say it back to me, like 4 point something million followers, I think 4 point something million followers, not that many people know who I am. Not many people know that that parrot does that. It's interesting because as much as you can see a number on a screen, you never really encompass it until you imagine how many people look like
4.4
4.4
million.
million in a room, and you think like that far out,
That's a big
bruh.
room.
That is a big room, and so it's a lot, and if I think about it too hard, I'm sure I could throw myself into an anxiety attack for sure, but it is something that I have to take seriously in the fact that I have influence. People say influencer, a lot of the time, there's a lot of negative connotation with that. People go, "Oh, you're an influencer," thinking, "Oh, you're brainless, you don't have any drive, you don't do this," whereas I'm going, "This is a full-time job for a reason."
Yeah.
I plan meticulously. I have skills that I didn't have 2 years ago based on having to go, "All right, if I want to make this successful, I need to learn."
Yeah. Well, I really want to explore more of this. So I want to know who is your audience and how do you identify who they are?
Yeah, well,
Or is it just happening organically?
I suppose organically, but organically in a way that I can sort of tell which direction it will go based off how I feel in the video. I've known from the very beginning that I couldn't show anything that wasn't real. Yes, I can embellish a story with Hamlet and I can, add captions and things like that post production. But in the minute it isn't real is the minute that people stop listening. And I think people crave the realness because there's just so much, both fakery.
When
And
you say real, Bridget, do you mean kind of you don't tidy up too much at home, or you don't put on
arguably,
makeup, or what's real?
I suppose the everyday. I don't wear a lot of makeup. A lot of my videos, I am fresh out of bed. And the hilarity is Hamlet's reaction to getting up early. And our conversations of, I suppose, what he's done wrong in that moment. And I'm pulling him up on it straight away. And what I look like in that moment is what I look like in that moment. I've never given, I suppose, too much thought in necessarily how I present. I care more about what I say and how he looks. And it's an argument to say Hamlet is an immaculate looking parrot. He's very pretty. So why do I need to bother? So a lot of people come to the videos for him. It's not for me. I argue that 2/3 is Hamlet fans and the third left behind are the people that will come because I'm there as well. And, there's been a big debate and I've had people really make it clear to me that they don't give two rats when I say and they're here for Hamlet. Whereas I'm going, arguably without me, there is no Hamlet. And the captions come from my imagination. If I was to show a video of Hamlet without my production. I'm afraid it would be a black screen. And so when I talk about the realness, I suppose I talk about how if you overproduce, you take away the natural comedy and you take away what I think people crave. And I think that's why I've been so successful, is because I show the bits and pieces that people go, oh, yeah, me too. Oh, same. There's nothing more enjoyable than watching something relatable.
Mm, mm.
And I think there's nothing more relatable than not wearing makeup, not feeling yourself, not feeling great. And, people relate having a parrot to their kids. I've got parents. You talk about audience. I've got parents. I've got kids. I've got people my age. I've got older people. I have a wide range. And I think it's because it's safe for such a wide range.
Right. How long would a normal video be? Are they like 30 seconds or are they like 3 minutes or what sort of thing? They vary.
It's always been very short content with me, only because, Hamlet has only so much in a short package, I suppose. And, in the beginning, there was only a certain level of time that you could make a video that was a full story arc without losing your audience, I suppose. You had to make it interesting. So they started probably in the 30-second mark. They've grown. I do have a handful of longer videos, which I will say are much harder to make because that requires a lot more work. Like people see a 30-second video and will go, oh, that's 30 seconds. I'm like, that took me 3 hours. That's not just in filming, that's in post-production. That's captioning. That's being able to read back and what was I thinking at the time, because I'm improvising in the moment. And so I know that the improv now means work later.
And how do you think up the content? Like, how do you said you generally know straight away, but I mean, I would imagine that there would only be so much you could do with a parrot.
Yeah, well,
Or are you sort of introducing the next door neighbor's dog and, well, I think your partner gets a bit of a starring role in some of it,
he
does he?
does. He does. Oh, poor Steve. He does cop it. Uh, and even his dog, Rufus, gets, a role every now and again. But people ask me that a lot in terms of, they go, Hamlet says the same thing over and over again. And yet I will watch it over and over again. I think the difference is I'm the one that changes. I'm the one that will change my question. He may have the same answer, but the shift is how I approach it, I'd say. And when I say I know instantly, it is improvisation. And that's the stuff I learned at uni. And without that, I think ambiguity, it's just it's not either going to be really bad or it's going to be really good. You just have to take the chance.
Do you generally know whether it's gonna be bad or
I
good?
can feel it. Yeah.
And do you post the bad ones as well?
Absolutely.
Right, and how often would you be posting?
I post every day,
Every day?
every single
Okay.
day.
Wow. What do you think, Bridget, it is that appeals to people? You say it's real,
Yeah.
people relate to it. Is it because of it's a moment of sort of escapism, or what is
Absolutely.
I guess what I'm getting at is people like me, old people, think, "Why?" You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like, that's so true, though. I get people that really do ask me the question of, like, "Why?" And that's such I've had the harsh questions of, like, "Why would you do something so mindless or
No, I'm not
something?"
saying why would you do it, I'm saying why does it appeal to people?
Oh, well, from
Yeah.
what I understand, and even the comments back, it's been, "This made my day." Like, it was a moment I was feeling down, and I saw a parrot have an argument with a human, and that made my day.
Right.
And it's an easy laugh. It's not political. No one swears. It is such light-hearted humor that I think everyone has a moment where they don't laugh out loud necessarily. They just breathe a little bit more out of their noses when they look at the phone.
Snort. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. It's a moment of ease.
Right. So tell me, we started to talk before about, well, you say it's not political. Are you able to monetize it in any way? Like you say that this is your job
Yeah.
now, yeah? And do people give you things like take Hamlet to this place, a hotel and review this hotel? Is that how it works? Or I'll give you these clothes if you wear it in my video, or how does it all work?
Oh gosh, well, there's many ways it works. When I first started doing videos, and particularly on TikTok, I was approached a lot by brands and businesses and things to kind of talk about an item or talk about an app or something. And it was just make it relevant to your video. Shape it so therefore it doesn't look forced. But because it was forced, it didn't work. And I'm probably not the best brand option for a lot of people. I've had, I'll be honest with you, there's been brands that have approached me and then rescinded their invitation purely based on the fact that what they're asking me doesn't work with what I've been doing. They just like the fact that I've got a lot of people watching my
Yes,
videos.
yeah, yeah.
Whereas you have to go, okay, and I've always had a really ethical, I suppose, approach to it where if I don't believe in it, why would I be showing it on my page? And that also covers that real bubble. If I'm not really in love with it, then why am I showing it? Look, in previous situations, there's been some really fun things. Gosh, I think my first ever brand deal was actually a young girl who made her own scrunchies. And I had a video where I unpacked the scrunchies with Hamlet and I loved them. And that was a good video. And they're the ones that I remember. But other times it's just making them relevant. I think my most recent one is I got offered a promotion with Disney.
God, tell me about that.
Yeah. Well, it was relevant. It was very relevant. And that's why it worked. They were releasing a documentary called Pets. And they asked if I would talk about how I first came to be with Hamlet. And then simply at the end, and I'd watched the documentary, I liked it. So I could very easily say it was really nice. I really enjoyed watching that. You should go watch it on Disney Plus.
Right. So, I mean, it's so fascinating. I've got 100 questions to ask you about it. But, you can't buy groceries with scrunchies. How do you get money?
It was not always the full-time job. It manifested in such a way. It started as a joke during COVID because that's how it started.
Well, while you're on that, I'm going all over the place. But tell me about Jeff Dunham. Who's Jeff Dunham?
Jeff Dunham. He's an American comedian who uses puppets for his shows. He does like Ahmed the Dead Terrorist and things like that. He's very funny and it's the kind of humor that I find, just a little bit dark, but it was funny. And so when I first started on TikTok, I had no parrot. I was still having a lot of fun, but I would do like lip syncs of famous comedians doing bits and act out what they were talking about. And that's probably where I gained some of the confidence to be able to go, all right, well, why don't I make my own stuff? I don't have to use everyone else's to make it happen. That's where I gained my first little bit of recognition, I suppose, because yeah, I had maybe, a couple of hundred likes and things like that, which made me feel really good. And when you're first starting out, that's huge. That's such a big deal. You think 100 people looking at me, you're crazy. And then it just suddenly overnight
Once you got the parrot, it
I
was,
got the parrot. It was the key.
that was the hammer. So go back to, is it the advertising where you get the money? Or
No.
did TikTok pay you? Or how
No, TikTok's
are you able
nothing
to?
do with
No,
TikTok.
no, no.
It was a decision that I made, it's probably about 2 years ago. I started using the same, I'd say, formula that I use on TikTok, which was, make a tiny story arc happen within 30 seconds with a video, posting it to both Instagram and YouTube. Now, Instagram was very well known in terms of that was probably the most basic form of social media that everyone was using. I think TikTok was very Gen Z, whereas Instagram was still rather in the millennial and a bit older sort of generations where it was much more acceptable, much less a joke, I'd probably say. And it wasn't until I had someone message me that I had people posting my videos on YouTube, posing as me, and they were making money. And it hadn't actually occurred to me that I was worth making money on this because it still really was just a hobby. And so I thought, okay, all right, well, what am I doing? I could be doing that too. And I'm the one that makes it. So I'd be the first person to post the video. And it wasn't until I actually got help from someone who'd messaged me, someone who actually works with the storm chasers or something like that. And they gave me a hand in taking down the videos that other people had been posting because they were earning my money, I guess, arguably.
How did they earn money though when they?
So YouTube has a partner scheme. It works by the amount of views you get over a certain amount of time, allowing them to, within your videos, also play their ads before and after. You get a cut of those ad revenue cuts. And so the more you post with the recognition of a lot of views, the higher your income. And so you need to qualify first. You need to receive a message from them to say that you qualify as a partner, which means you need to hit a certain demographic within a certain time frame that deems you a reliable source for them to play their ads, because ads pay YouTube and YouTube pays its creators to play the ads.
Yeah,
So
okay.
they're much kinder, their creators. They've always been a little bit more tedious in terms of making sure that we're paid for the work that we put into it. And it very much is a situation of what you put in, you get out. I made the decision not that long ago to start posting every day. And it was after I hit that first 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, because that was the first time I thought, oh man, this is for real.
I can do this.
This is what I
Yeah.
can do. And it's been probably just under a year since I took it as a full-time job. And since then, I have not looked back. I've just genuinely thought to myself, how did I not do this sooner? Because it changed everything. It changed how I looked at work. It changed how I looked at myself. It brought so much more independence than I thought. It's a scary step. It really is. But it also held me accountable. Whereas I wouldn't post for a couple of days, even like a week or so. You'd have a huge drop in, you know, analytics. People wouldn't be watching you as much because you weren't there, you weren't relevant. And so I took it upon myself to go, okay, let's make this a job. Let's do it. And I did. I have.
And here you are.
Here I am.
You're Chanty
So
B. You're
good.
Chanty B 97. My name's Megan O'Hara Sullivan, and we have the honour of having someone who has got 4.4 million followers on TikTok and over 100,000 on YouTube. How do you measure success, Bridget? Like what's successful for you?
I can pay the bills. That feels pretty good.
Tell me some more about that, about how you looked at work. And just as you were saying that, I felt that's a very millennial thing to say. Is it millennial or are you a Gen Z?
Oh, so I'm 97. Some would argue a late millennial or
Okay.
an early Gen Z.
Okay, yeah.
I'm a zillennial.
So it's about sort of not being on the hamster wheel and being on the
Oh,
Hamlet wheel. You can use that if you like. Yeah.
thank you.
And not sort of conforming to that everyday 9 to 5, do you think?
Oh, yeah. And I struggled. I really did. My brain wasn't for it. And it's not that I didn't try. I certainly did. I worked a normal job. I worked my way up from Christmas casual to management at Bonds here in Grand Central in Toowoomba. Did that for 5 years. And it was during that time that I was doing the Hamlet stuff in the beginning. And yeah, really had trouble because it is fatiguing and people are fatiguing. And it is a different world than it was even 10 years ago. People don't treat people the same anymore. Interactions are different. And me being, you know, in my body and in my brain, I see everything. And I'm not saying that as in a way of I see everything. It's part of the curse of an ADHD brain is being able to notice the downfall and not being able to do anything about it.
I think that when stores have to have signs up saying, "Please be nice to our staff," there is something sort of slowly going. Tell me about, did you get a phone call from Hard Quiz or what? Tell me that story.
Oh, it was while I was being represented actually by an agency in Sydney. They'd approached me probably about a year beforehand going, they were a modeling agency, which I found astounding because to me, I do not look like a model, arguably, just 'cause especially with my facial expression. But they had been representing me for a while, and it must have just come across their desk that Hard Quiz was doing an episode specifically called Battle of the Influencers. And it wasn't only probably a year before that there was a story that had come out that was the most influential Australians. And I was 19th, which was very impressive, I
Hopefully that was
suppose,
the
on
top
paper.
20 influential Australians,
Oh, it
was
was. It
it?
was the top 100.
Oh, 100. Wow.
And so I just thought, God, damn, all right. I mean, Harry, what do you mean? We just say we're doing step up. Good boy. But it was interesting because, yeah, it was probably the first time I thought to myself, people know who I am. Interesting. Little old me. Well, I knew who Hamlet was, and my approach that people had when they came up to me was, "Are you Hamlet's mum?" I'd have to go, yeah. He says hi.
So people sort of come up to you in the street, do they?
They do
Wow.
sometimes. I won't say all the time. Gosh, I think I get lots of looks. People are pretty I suppose, shy. And I think this day and age, people are less likely to come up to you. It's either one or the other. They ignore you, but also give you a side eye if I know who you are, or it's full on, oh my gosh, you're Hamlet's mum. How's Hamlet? I love him. I love you. And you have to sort of take it on the chin going, hi, thank you. Lovely to meet you. I have no idea who you are, but you seem lovely and I appreciate your support.
Isn't that amazing?
It is
Yep.
so
So
strange.
a hard quiz comes knocking.
So Hard Quiz comes knocking. I got an email. They asked me if I'd ever seen the show, to which I had not. I had not seen the show before.
You don't watch TV, Chris. You're a Gen Z.
No. And it wasn't that I'd probably dislike the show. I didn't dislike the show at all. It was just not something I came across. It's so true. Didn't watch TV. We were Netflix, Disney Plus, and Prime people now. Who had time for TV when you're scrolling online? So yeah, they asked if I would come on, and I said, "By golly, why not?" I was being paid for it. They were offering a sum, and I was like, "Well, why would I say no to that?" And they talked about what kind of things that I had interest in because they have to talk about your speciality subject.
And what was your special
It was the
subject?
show Friends.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, which is exactly what I grew up with.
Your mum and dad watching it, was it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it was on TV. That
Yeah.
like when you did watch TV
Yeah.
before bed, it was on at 7 o'clock before or after the news, one or the other.
Who's your favourite Friends character?
See, that's
Ross?
a loaded question.
Why?
They all have their own
Oh,
capacity
okay.
to have their own show. There's moments I think I have a favorite, and then I'll see a scene with one of the others, and I'll instantly switch. I cannot pick a favorite. There's ones that I think I identify with, but yeah, there's moments I think I dislike them all, and moments I really love them all.
Yes, I have to admit I did go down the rabbit hole of what's Chandler's real name and his drug abuse and all of that. Very
Matthew
sad.
Perry. Yeah.
Matthew Perry. Anyway, yes. So you said I'm gonna Friends is my special subject. And did Tom
Yeah.
Gleeson, did he burn you at all?
He tried. I went. I had a, I suppose, a tactical thought process with it because it's designed to poke fun at everyone. So they even tell you beforehand, they go, don't take it to heart.
Do they?
They
Yeah,
really
right.
do. They
Yeah,
say it is meant to be poking fun, and we encourage you to poke fun back. And it's just not in my DNA. It
It's
really
so
is.
cringeworthy when they do it though.
Sometimes it is, and sometimes it can go really south. Gosh, when we were there was a few jokes that happened that didn't make it to the show where I'm thinking, thank goodness, like that person really would have crashed and burned if that had aired. But they encourage the banter, and it is banter, and I think that's the difference between banter and just being mean.
Yes.
And so I went in with the tactic of, if I go in, it's really hard to be mean to someone who's nice. Really hard to be mean to people that are genuinely nice to you, and I knew that's what I could do. And so I think off the bat, like even Tom tried to make fun of the fact that I had no friends. And
Why did he say that?
oh, it was the joke of, oh, you have a parrot.
Right.
You stay
I don't
home
have
with the
any
parrot
friends.
just
Mhm.
because you talk to the parrot, you have no friends. And I joked with him of just like agreeing, like, yeah, so true, Tom. To which, yeah, he's
So to
trouble.
that end, how did you go?
Oh, I won.
You won.
I did. I won. I was just as shocked as everyone else, believe me.
So tell me who at Mully was, who's another influencer.
Marley,
who-
he's a YouTuber. He's an Australian YouTuber.
Right.
He has an enormous following, much
Right.
bigger than
Is he a
mine.
big mole smoker or what?
Oh
Right?
gosh, I don't know. I can't actually tell you. I haven't watched many of his videos before. They showed us little clips while we were on the show. He was funny. He was a character. He's certainly someone I think that is used to making people laugh and being in control of a room. So I have to hand it to him. He was the first to get eliminated, poor bloke.
What was his subject?
His subject was the Fast and the Furious, to which I stole most of his questions. Yeah.
Oh, you stole them.
I
Oh,
stole
good
them.
girl.
That's
So you
how
got
I
double
got ahead
points.
real quick.
So they advertised the show as a culture clash of epic proportions. Why do you
Yeah.
think they say that?
I think because the audience that usually watches Hard Quiz are the kind of people that wouldn't know who or what we do.
And who was the other person? Who was that?
So
Oh, there would have been two other people.
there were
Yeah.
two other people. Oh gosh, I'm gonna sound really terrible if I don't remember one.
They didn't influence you very well.
Well, Ian, who was on my right, he was lovely. He was who I was in the finals with. He's an Indigenous influencer. Very nice. Actually, so funny. Made me laugh backstage so much, and he's probably who I meshed with the most. And oh gosh, now I'm gonna feel
That
really
other
bad if I don't
person.
remember the
That's
story.
okay. So
Her
tell
she was lovely as well.
Yeah. So tell me when you won the mug,
Mhm.
what did you say? And Tom says, "So what are you gonna do with the mug,
Oh, I
Bridget?"
jumped on the bandwagon with his friends joke and just well, I suppose also my subject was friends, which doubled down on it, but I was like, "I can share a drink with all the new friends I'll make from winning the show."
And what was that like? Well, did you have to do double takes or anything like that? It's just filmed as is and you hold it up.
Yeah.
Is it heavy?
Yeah, it's really heavy. It's like 7 kilos. I wasn't expecting it. Even as I held it up, I just thought my wrist's gonna give out. But they make you
Drop
hold
it.
the yeah. I thought, no, please don't break the stage. Even as I was holding it, they make you look down the barrel of the camera and say, "Thanks for playing hard." And I think at the time, I thought, "I'm just having a fever dream right now. This isn't real." And so barrel of the camera holding it up, "Thanks for playing hard." And afterwards, I couldn't even hold the cup up anymore and had to bend it down. And Tom was very nice and was impressed
So,
that
I
I
mean,
could hold it.
that's a fairly surreal sort of thing, isn't
So
it?
surreal.
What other surreal things have happened to you like that?
Oh gosh. What other
People
surreal
coming up to you in the street and things is pretty.
it's all the first timers, I reckon. I remember the first time I was recognized and someone asked for my autograph and I had no idea what to write. And my first instinct, because they actually approached me while I was working at Bonds. I'm here standing behind the counter and they're buying their undies. And so, and so there's a level of, oh, yes, we do have those in stock. What was that? You want my autographs? Why? And they're like, "Oh, we're just really big fans." And so they ended up giving me like a, I don't know, a business card of theirs or something, and on the back, all I wrote was Bridget and Hamlet, and had no idea what I was doing or writing. And even then, they were just happy that I was the person that they thought they were meeting, I guess, because 'cause they're like, "We weren't sure."
My favorite story about fame is that I keep thinking I know people because of work or whatever. And then one lady said to me, "No, you don't know me." And I said, "Oh, I might." And she goes, "Look, I'm going to say something to you and I don't want you to feel embarrassed." I said, "What?" And she goes, "I work at Dan Murphy's, right?" And so that was how I knew her from going into Dan Murphy's. So that's a bit of a blowback on me. So
That's amazing.
tell me about who's been the most influential person in your life then.
Oh, gosh.
Who influences the influencer?
Who influences the influencer? So many people. My first initial response when I thought about that question was the yellow wiggle. Just from
Who
early
is
on
the
in the
yellow
show.
wiggle? It's
The original one, Greg.
Greg. Okay.
Good old Greg. It's not the yellow wiggle, but that was my first instant joke response. But probably my mum, to be honest. She was always someone who let my freak flag fly, I guess. And, I with my dad as well. He always had a funny bone. And I'd probably say my own family, to be honest.
Yeah.
There's people that you grow up with watching. Emma Thompson, I love her. If I could be anyone, she was who I would pick in terms of skill and understanding of humanity and place of genuine, I think, someone who should be where she is. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Interesting choice.
but a lot of, I suppose, British comedy and British
Mm.
actresses specifically. But yeah.
Bridget, where do you think you're going to go, or do you just not think? You just think I'm just going to ride this wave, what's happening,
Absolutely.
and not worry about where I'm going to be in 20 years' time, or
Yeah.
can I morph this into something else?
I have so many ideas that it'll be difficult to put some of them to fruition, I suppose. At the moment, I'm also enjoying the moment. I think there's a argument to be said of this might not last forever. It's a very niche thing. People, argue with me of like, oh, what if Hamlet, something happened to Hamlet? I go, that's a possibility. You really have to take it on the chin. He is a bit of a lifespan that will probably reach about 40 years. So I do have it pretty well set out and, I look after him pretty well. But in case tragedy hit, there's an argument that can be made of yes, Hamlet has great facial expressions, but I'm the one that did the work. And so I'm sure I could make that still develop in a different direction, whether it be producing something else, whether it be, completely new, or even riding off the wave of what this is.
Mm.
And so I can look ahead, I can plan, as you said, ride the wave. I can just sort of bunk down and get the best board, I guess. Make sure I'm looking after myself now so that the future isn't so hard. Yeah.
And I mean, who could have predicted 10 years ago that there would have even been such a thing as influencers or people making little videos for TikTok?
Well, it was
I was gonna
happening
say
10 years
TikTok
ago.
tech. TikTok.
TikTok
Yes.
tech. Well, look, it was happening 10 years ago, but it was just so much of I suppose, an enigma. My gosh, I think the first internet personality that I ever fell in love with, her name was Jenna Marbles, and she did YouTube videos, and she skyrocketed. She was at some point the most followed person on YouTube in the world, and she made funny videos. She laughed at herself. She would involve her partner. She would joke, and she was also someone who had a lot of trouble with her mental health. She was a weirdo, and people loved her for it. And so there's an argument to be meant that more people are just becoming more and more confident being themselves and then posting it online. And I think it's really tough when, you have that judgment. There are people that still go, "Oh, you're an influencer. Oh, you do that." You go, "Yeah, you haven't found the right one yet. You haven't found the one that makes you go, 'Man, that's funny.' Or 'I enjoy this.' And what they do is important because it makes the people that watch it laugh. It makes them smile. It either educates them in a way of like, things aren't so bad, or I could do that." It's inspiration, I guess, and people really need to take it on board that it's an important aspect of human life, enjoying things.
Huh, well, you're gonna become some sort of preacher or some sort of, life coach with that sort of a motivation. Now, I'm come to the end of my 50 minutes, unfortunately, with you.
Mhm.
Can you tell me, do you have a favorite royal? Do you follow the royal family at all?
No, only because after Lizzie went, I was pretty heartbroken, to be honest, because Lizzie is who I've grown up with. And after she went, I just thought, what's the point?
So you're not interested in Meghan and Harry posting their video from dancing in the Labour ward? What do you think about that?
I think that they should do whatever makes them happy. I'm not here to judge them. If anything, I'm happy that they feel confident and comfortable to do that. And I wish them all the best. I don't really hold a lot of judgment. I know a lot of people do. And I think the best thing that people can do is let others do what they want to do.
Mm.
And
Hello, sister. I love it. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. So we'll bypass the royal question.
Oh,
I
I
thought you
still
know.
wanna
Oh,
answer that.
oh,
I do
okay.
have a
Go,
favorite
go.
royal.
Yeah.
They're just not real.
Oh no, that's okay.
You asked me who's my favorite royal. Amelia Mignonette, Thermopolis Rinaldi, Princess of Genovia.
Oh, explain.
Have you seen The Princess Diaries?
No.
But Julie Andrews in it.
Are you saying because I'm old, I'd like Julie Andrews?
No, everyone likes Julie Andrews. If you don't, I consider that a red flag, but it's just a rite of passage. But that should be your homework. If you watch that movie, I think you'll be very impressed.
Okay, well, I think you're the first person who's ever set me some homework, so I will. I like
Oh,
the
I'm so
sound of
glad.
it.
Yep.
That's great.
You're welcome.
Okay, all right, lovely.
It's got Anne Hathaway in it.
Say that again.
It's got Anne Hathaway.
Oh,
In it.
Anne
It was her
Hathaway.
first big movie.
Okay,
It's what made
excellent.
her famous.
Yeah, and why do you like that person?
Anne Hathaway.
No, that prince.
Oh, Princess of Genovia.
Yeah.
Because she was a kid who was an outsider. She was a kid who was an outsider who turned out to be of royal blood. And it was interesting because overnight she became this huge success, but it was just because she was a royal. And it took her time to figure out that she was special. And it wasn't because she was a royal, it was because she was cool enough to do things how she wanted. And she was given this opportunity to do right in the world and decided that it wasn't about her, it was about the bigger picture.
Mhm.
So
Now, I'm no philosopher, but I would say that's a very apt answer coming from you.
thank you.
Beautiful.
Appreciate it.
All right, dancing. What's the song that can't keep you off the dance floor?
Don't Stop Moving by S Club 7.
Okay.
Nice
Yet another
song.
thing that I need to be educated on.
Oh, there's the songs that you grew up with and everything like that, but it was the song that played on the radio that you just had to go, "Dad, turn it up. This is a song." It hit different, and I was probably, what, 8 when it came out, so it's just stuck in my brain.
Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you flew your freak flag, and I hope you keep flying your freak flag.
I
You
appreciate
and
it.
I know that you said that in sort of the most genuinely a confident or complimentary way about
Yeah.
yourself and other people too. So, look, I just have loved meeting you. It's
Oh, thank
something that's
you.
just sort of completely out of the blue. I know nothing about influencers, and now I know one, my very own influencer.
Well, now you do, and we're actually very nice. It's if you come across a mean one, it's because something's happened, and so yeah, we're doing our best to put ourselves out there, and so one can argue We are constantly taking a risk in hoping that others do like us. So we're trying to be ourselves.
Wonderful. I love it. Bridget Chant, aka Chanty B97 and Hamlet. See you next time. That's it for this week. Thanks for joining me on Big Little Small Talk. I hope you can make the time to join me next week. If you've enjoyed this episode, please subscribe on your favourite podcast app.
You've been listening to a 102.7 FM Toowoomba original podcast. For more podcasts or to listen to live and local Toowoomba radio, please visit 1027.com.au or download the Community Radio Plus app.